Hey, everybody, it's David Duford here from Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense Medicare and annuities, both face-to-face and over the phone. Thank you so much for being here. This is a series of Q&A consultation sessions I'm doing with agents just like you who are brand new to the business, thinking about getting in the business or experience, and just want to run questions by me that have agreed to allow me to film it for your viewing pleasure. So I have Mr. Nate here today, who has some questions for me, and hopefully I have some answers. Nate, how you doing today?
Yes, good morning, Dave. Yes, I'm doing fine.
Thanks for being here, man. So tell us why you decided to jump on and what can I help you with?
Well, recently I left another insurance company. I wasn't really happy with the lead system, and it wasn't really getting the results I wanted. Mainly face to face. It was more final expense mortgages and stuff like that. It wasn't final expense. It was mortgage protection insurance, and I've been in and out of this business. I usually take it as more of a side gig, and I needed to find something. There had to be a better way to go about doing business and stuff without spinning my wheels and trying to put all this effort into it and getting no results. So this week I recently joined a company, PPG Telesales, and I actually found out through your site. Found out through your site.
And I do reviews on the competition, and some of them like it and it helps them. I actually had somebody call me yesterday and get all pissed off and angry. It's funny. And so go figure, right? You ended up going to PPG, even though I recruit agents, which is fine, but it's funny how that works out. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, I'm open to anything, and I needed like a better system. And hearing the fact that okay, all the appointments are done, everything's done over the phone. We'll teach you everything. Just get your out-of-state license. Put a little investment into it. There's a monthly fee for our system and stuff. Just do the work, show up, and you're in. So I just started this week. No results to really report right now, though, because I'm just getting started. But basically for me, though, I'm just using my time and investment, just trying to plan my days out accordingly. Like, okay, I'm going to be on the phones, or I'm going to rewatch the trainings and videos and stuff just to get comfortable and familiar with the process. And of course, learn the script too, learn the outlines in the system as well. Right. So,
So what questions you got for me? You got anything in particular you want to talk about?
Obviously with PPG though, you had a lot of reviews and stuff like that. And of course you recruit agents to go with you as well. And obviously even though I got my license back in 2017 with another company, I still feel very green to this industry. But the good news is I'm learning, it's coming in and it's sinking in little by little every time. So I'm, it's all, from what I've learned, it's all about in here and just making sure you got that right mindset to just go ahead and do it no matter how you feel. So question is, when it comes to telesales, they give you the training, they give you everything. How do you just keep on going?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think, it's funny. This isn't a complicated business. It's not easy though. It's simple, but not easy, as they say. And telesales fits that gamut for sure. You sit down, in this case, you probably are making outbound calls and you repeat hourly, daily, weekly, forever, right? You have to almost think of yourself like you are working on an assembly line, right? You're doing a repetitive, albeit creative, emotional, it is a repetitive task. And you've got an assembly line of appointments or calls coming through or leads to call out, and you're repeating a process over and over and over. And to me, one of the hardest things, but this is, I think, if there's a secret to getting this business, it's to embrace the fact that this is a numbers game, okay? That what happens from appointment to appointment or call to call, is random. But when you take a collection of 100 calls or 1,000 calls or 100 appointments or 1,000 appointments, then you get to derive some averages, some expectations. And of course, it's hard to think long-term. It's easier to get wrapped up in what didn't or did happen with the appointment you just ran, right? I made the sale or I didn't make the sale. And then to have the feelings of self-doubt and issues with it. The sooner you learn to overcome that or accept that, I think that's when this business gets a bit easier. And I mean, admittedly, for me, it took me like 2 years, maybe 3 years before I could walk back home and my wife couldn't tell if I had a really great day or a terrible day. So it's pretty difficult.
The numbers game, from what I heard, it's what you just mentioned, and I think one of the books that really summed it up well for me, which was referred to me from the last company I was with, and it's still a good book either way, no matter what company gives it to you. It's Go for No.
Yeah.
Go for No. It's just pretty much a numbers game, and just I'm just learning the fact of like embracing the no, embracing the calls. Like, okay, every dial I get in, okay, that's closer to another yes. So if it's like, okay, I'm halfway through my script, person's like, I gotta go or do something, I'm doing whatever I need to do to get the take control of the conversation, and then it's like, okay, fine, on to the next one. Or I got all their information, it's like, my mom's on the phone, bye, click. It's like, okay.
It's a paradox, right? It's funny, this business. I've been using this analogy with my agents about Cal Ripken. Some of you may be too young to know who Cal Ripken is. A Hall of Famer baseball player who had a 300 batting average, right?
Mhm.
Another way to look at him is that he failed 70% of the time, but he's in the Hall of Fame. The paradox in this example, Cal Ripken, a Hall of Famer, a baseball player, is that he lost more than 2 times the number of times he won. Likewise, for you and any other final expense agent or any insurance agent for that matter, for the most part, you're going to lose more, multiple times more typically than you're going to win. And I call it the paradox of this business, is that you will experience rejection, no's, put offs, all the frustrating things that we all hate to deal with, but have to. And as long as you're hitting what's good enough as far as a conversion rate, depending on your business model, you can still win, even though the minority of the time you're winning, whereas the majority of the time you're losing. And it never really changes. I mean, for some people lock into these unique systems that are hard to duplicate. But if you're out there like a regular agent, and you're buying leads, you're going to hear no way more than hear yes. And the thing is, those top agents that are in your organizations that are buying the same kind of leads, doing something similar, a lot of times they're doing something very similar to you, and they're still hearing no more than you, but they're winning more because of the activity level they put in. And it's something, again, just like the activity of just the randomness of outcomes, you have to accept you're going to hear no, and it's not personal. It's just they're saying no to your product, not to you.
Yeah. And maybe it's the activity level, maybe it's how I come off or whatever, but with the industry that I'm in now with PPG, I like the fact that it's all telesales. You're on the phone, they're not really seeing you and stuff like that. You don't have that anxiety when you're in someone's home, or you traveled like 30 minutes and the person is like, I'm not up to it, go away. That's that type of thing. But
Yeah,
for this, it's like great because it's like, okay, you're on the phone and they're teaching you the tonality and learning how to build rapport. And rapport is just like a tough thing to do, but like, but even though like I had like at least 10 calls where I got people on there and probably like almost up to 100 dials. And by the way, I also have a full-time job too, so I'm like, balancing everything else.
Now, you've done insurance sales before, and it was face to face, right?
Oh yeah, it was face to face.
What are you finding to be the biggest differences? I mean, I know you're just getting started with telesales. What are you finding the biggest difference between telesales and face to face?
Face to face. Well, before the last insurance job I had, not the telesales one, but I was with a company that mainly focused on 403Bs for teachers.
Okay.
So we were like in the schools and stuff and trying to make, and it's hard to build that trust. Like they see other people and it's like, okay, whether, and it's good that the other company at the time had like a little more rapport, that they were familiar with these agents running around the schools and stuff. With that company, you can only talk to so many people in the school until they're like sick and tired of you and hear about you, and then you got to go on to the other school. And then with the previous company I was with, it was like, okay, you buy their leads, they like just send out all these mailers, you fill it out, and it all depends on your area too. Like I was like picking out leads around my area, and I'm in Michigan, and I know that's not an excuse or anything, but like obviously it's just like with everyone, they can either be like a rough around the edges, like, you're trying to sell me insurance, sir, pal? You're trying to,
Sure.
what's with mortgage protection? That's, and then you feel like you hear the same thing every day. And you got, and I was also with, again, I was a full-time job, and I was trying to put in the same amount of part-time activity that was appropriate. And just, and either my leads were getting stale or whatever, but I was, not to mention just had a daughter too. I had my second daughter too. So I was like really exhausted, and,
Sure.
I needed something that I wasn't going to be driving around town for like half the day and missing out my regular job too. So,
Right.
Telesales just, stuck out to me, and I'm like, okay, if I just commit to it, learn the system, and just put in like at least X amount of hours a day, and like, I'm going to admit, like 5 hours a day, just sit down and just get those inbound leads. I'm bound to hit something. I am
Sure.
just like, there's a guarantee that I'm going to make a sale. Like that sale, like, okay, you just made $400 commission off this one sale. Great, fantastic. On to the next one. So,
Do you feel so far like one of the things I think is tougher to do based on me training my agents and hearing from other agents not in my agency as well as the rapport building when you're selling over the phone versus face to face? Have you noticed that it's harder or easier building rapport over the phone than it is face to face?
more or less with, when it comes to building rapport, it kind of reminds me of, back during my single days, like back like in the early 2000s or 90s or whatever. You meet some girl online, you talk to her on the phone. Oh, it's awesome. We got, we're looking forward to it. And then we get there, and in person, it's like, okay, let's get that same magic going. And it really doesn't. I kind of, perhaps, more or less, depending on the other person's vibe. But of course, you got to like put in the effort of like, okay, how's everything going on in your, keeping safe with the pandemic?
Right.
Do you currently work? What did you do? Tell me about your family. Tell you about my family. I just, I have a daughter. My wife and I had our second daughter. I'm sort of new to this, and stuff like that. So you just got to open up a little bit for them to get going. So,
Do you feel like you have to dig intentionally more to build rapport on the phone than face to face?
I feel so, yeah, because you're gonna get like you're collecting more information, and with the structure that PPG has, it kind of like builds that momentum up of like making it a little bit easier for them to give them their social, and then
Right.
the information. But of course, you're giving them your license number and making sure like, hey, we want to make this as safe as possible. We got a huge fiduciary responsibility, and if we drop the ball, we're in trouble. So
Sure.
it's trying to convince the other person on the other end, like, we're legit. We're legit. Right. This isn't, even though this is a sales call, we make commissions and stuff like that. This is no different than you calling up your local bank, calling up another local financial institution. We are like, we're coming to you because you had an issue you needed to be taken care of. And that's one of the things I'm like, that's in my mind, like, okay, whether they wanted it or not, though, you wanted it at one time. We're just following until you say, hey, put me on the do not call list. Okay, click.
Well, it is important, I think, if you're a new agent out there looking to do telesales, you have to understand there is a difference between face to face and over the phone. Absolutely. It's funny. In our organization, DeFord Insurance Group, we do telesales or face to face for final expense and Medicare. Most of my agents come in initially through final expense before getting into Medicare down the line. But if we look at final expense, and it's funny, if you develop the agent or the clients over the phone or face to face, the script is very similar, some differences for sure. It's the same prospect, same type of people, same demographics, et cetera. Same carriers for the most part. It's funny though, like how you sell and the outcomes of those sales calls and what you have to deal with is markedly different. And I would go so far as to say telesales is more difficult in my experience than face to face. With that said, now if you're watching this and you have a penchant or an attraction to telesales, you should do telesales. Likewise, if you have an attraction to face, you should do face-to-face sales. If you're kind of down the middle, I tend to encourage agents to go face-to-face simply because what I've seen is it's just telesales is more difficult. You don't have, there's something about face-to-face presentations where you see the person, you're in their home, you shake hands, you make eye contact, you can read their body language better. You can make more errors. Whereas over the phone, you've got to be pretty much on top of every aspect of the sale if you're going to want to make it. And there's more objections, there's more resistance, there's a lot more just obstacles. But if you get over them, you can be good at it. Go ahead.
And it seems like with like face to face, it's obviously more human. And
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
with when you're talking to someone over the phone, I think they want that human aspect. So I think it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay, to flow up. They want to see that human side of you over the phone. Because most of the time you're reading a script, you're going through a presentation. They don't know that, but it's like, okay, here's the presentation. This is what you wanted. And okay, now like, okay, I'm gonna break into rapport, show you that I'm not just reading off a script. This is, get that human aspect to it, because get that human aspect. But with face-to-face sales, you don't have all your materials. You don't have someone in your back ear kind of coaching you or something. Well, with telesales, you got your stuff. They don't see you making weird facial gestures or anything, or so like you got a structure. You got a structure there, as opposed like, okay, you're in someone's home and then you got the dog jumping on you. You got other the kids coming in. You got other little interactions and distractions going on. Here it's like, okay, let's face to face and stuff. So like, yeah, it's surprising to know that telesales are difficult. It's simple, but it's not easy. Especially, I think the difficult part is that endurance of just like sitting down in that chair for like 5 hours. But of course, it's always important to take your little breaks too. So like,
now talk on that for a little bit, if you don't mind. It's difficult to sit in your home office in your underwear dialing. How do you mean by that? Can you explain to the audience that may be like, what are you talking about? I mean, isn't working at home easy?
Well, working at home is easy, but of course you're at home, you got all these distractions. Fortunately enough, you got to have your own little like space to like, okay, this is my workspace. I'm not here to play video games. I'm not here to watch Netflix or whatever. This is where I work. I am just going to be sitting here doing my telesales stuff though. No one's going to be distracting me. I got everything going on. So you got to have that balance. You can't just like have it, have a computer or laptop and in the room where a lot of activity goes on. You got to set your boundaries in space. Even if it's like, okay, I got to rent out some little small closet or office from my buddy or something, or wherever you can find, and just do it from there. But
yeah, I've worked at home. I run my agency out of my house. Always have. I never wanted an office space. I've always ran it out of my home. I've been out of the field for probably full time for 4 years almost now. And it's funny, like you would think working at home would be like exact opposite of working at an office. But the thing is, my wife's an at-home mom. She homeschools our kids. I've got my kids here. Probably gonna hear some screams in the background right now. There's always some kind of distraction going on. Then they just barge in. Dad's here. Got a question. Just jump in. I'm like, I'm in the middle of something. It's like you got to kind of create these boundaries, right? So, your family understands that this is work time. When the doors are closed, you don't bother dad unless it's a crisis,
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds silly if you're to the uninitiated, but it's important.
Oh yeah, and I think during this pandemic, we all learned. I feel like in my case, there's a simple feng shui of doing things. If you do your work, it's like, okay, I can't really get anything done. And I think there was this crazy statistic of like more people were getting more work done in their homes than in the actual office.
Yeah.
Right? It's because there are all these gaps. Like, okay, I got a Zoom meeting. I'll get through that though. Now I got to do laundry, do other errands. Okay, back to it. And most of these computers or whatever they're getting tracked on have the timers, so they're probably just letting the clock run. So I am fortunate to work in an office where I can, like with my full-time job, I can just go there and stuff, and we have like little employees, so like that really, thank God that didn't like hinder our operations or anything. But it's always important, to have those separate work areas, because you can't just like use the house as your office, and it's just gonna make you crazy.
Sure.
Make you feel a little off.
Yeah, right. Well, as we kind of wrap up here, Nate, I appreciate you jumping on here and just talking kind of the, just about the business, about telesales. I think this is most applicable for agents considering telesales because you're brand new to telesales, kind of experiencing what it's like, some of the initial, firsthand experiences of dealing with telesales. You got any final questions you want to ask me about the business, or any thoughts, comments?
No, I appreciate you having me on there. I wish I could give out more information, especially like me just like starting off at this. But I feel like like with anything new, you can't just give up that easy. You gotta commit to like at least a couple months to it to see those results. And for me, it's like, okay, figure out your schedule. This is the time where you sit down and make calls. This is the time where you get back to work, calls, work, or whatever, get that balance. And it's like, and most importantly, family. You got to be with your family. You can't just, let this consume you. You got to have the work balance, or it's just gonna, leave everything sour. So yeah, it's just me just putting that activity in and just doing it, and just put in the work and work to put, or something, as they'd say. But yeah.
Sure.
And to work and work to plan.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah. And this business is great, guys. The nice thing is if you stick to it face to face over the phone, there's just great opportunity in this business, especially if you're in a senior market like Nate is and myself. 10, 11,000 baby boomers turning 65 daily for the next 10 plus years. That means all sorts of people who are retiring, starting Medicare, can sell the Medicare plans. You can help them with final expense. A lot of them are losing their insurance. A lot of people retiring with less money than they thought they'd have. So they definitely need burial insurance, annuity opportunities. This business is going to be fantastic. If you're a new agent watching this, whether you want to do telesales or face-to-face, or whatever product you want to do, figure out a way to get into this business. You can start part-time like Nate. I did back in the day, 10 years ago when I started, eventually move full-time. This is an absolute awesome business to commit to and to figure out a way to make work. And there's all sorts of agencies. PPG is where Nate's at, very good organization for telesales, that will help you do this. And you're going to be kicking yourself in the pants 5 years, 10 years from now, because we're in the beginning of an uptrend of opportunity. This isn't the, hell, you just learned about this great opportunity that's now fizzling out. This is one of those situations where the next 10 to 20 years are going to be rock solid for any kind of products, especially insurance and in the senior market. And you should get up on this while you can, because one day it's going to go away. The people that are going to age in are going to want to do everything online. They're going to not want an agent coming out, but that is not the case now. The people want to talk to a real person. They want to deal with a real person face to face or over the phone. And you should capitalize while you can. So there's my sales pitch to everybody else watching this. I think it's a great thing. So Nate, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. And if you guys are interested in learning more, learning more about what we do, go to daviddufour.com/FAQ. There should be links above or below. And thanks for watching. Y'all take care. Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.